Let's move on to this Friday's disappearance. And that will be the disappearance of, we got another couple this week. We do those once in a while. Kristina Branum and Christopher Mittendorf. They disappeared. The accepted date is July 27th, 2006. However, there could be a little bit of wiggle room in there. This episode is going to be called In the Box, and I'll explain to that to you in a second. They disappeared from Hardin County, Tennessee. Once again, July 27th, 2006. And the guest will be Christopher Mittendorf's mother, Cheryl Flatt. I interviewed her not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before. Dark says, I think they're all on YouTube, disappeared episodes. Well, if you want to buy them, yes, they are, Dark. Yes, they are. If they're on YouTube for free, that's illegal. But was Mason Smith on there too, Ed? Could be. It very well could be. Those are the ones I just remembered off the top of my head. You have to remember something. I don't get up at 6 a.m. If you don't know my sleeping schedule, I usually go to bed about 2 a.m, and I get up about 10 or later. So that's just what I do. So if there was earlier ones in the morning, then I missed them. But this is the disappearance for this week. Now, like I said, Cheryl did a great interview. You're going to hear her on Friday. Now, you should know that I was scheduled to also interview Kristina's mother, whose name is Paulette. And in fact, when Emily began working on this disappearance, she actually contacted Paulette first. And I spoke to Paulette first. And we had a perfectly fine, great conversation. And in fact, I called her back after that for another conversation. And then it was after that one that we were able to track down Christopher's mother, Cheryl. Well, as it turns out that I had been scheduled to interview Cheryl last Sunday, like a week and a half ago, and then I was supposed to interview Paulette 2 days later on that Tuesday, which I think would be June 2nd. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Paulette flaked on me. I called her. She didn't pick up the phone. Left a message. Didn't call me back. Called her a couple times. Didn't call me back. Texted her. Didn't get back to me. And then somehow we were connected. I think we're still connected on Messenger. She sent me a message that she had to go to she had got sent to the hospital or something happened. But yes, she apologized and she still wants to do the interview. We made another appointment and she no showed on me again. And when I tried to call her back this time, the phone just doesn't work. So I had to make a decision. What are we going to do about this? As I've told you, flaking happens. In fact, I just had it happen like about 5 weeks ago with somebody who I thought for sure was going to hold their appointment and did not. And, once people flake on this, I just don't have any patience for that. There's just too many other people to help to try to track down people who can't keep appointments. There's just too many other people who will hold appointments and will be there when you call to try to track down these people who just can't hold a meeting time. But because I didn't want to hold that against Cheryl, because Cheryl did a great interview. She was ready to talk. And the truth is that in the end, both Christine and Chris disappeared from her house, not Paulette's. Chris and Kristina were living at her house before they disappeared, not at Paulette's. Paulette's daughter, was living at Chris's house. So I didn't want to, of course, hold it against Cheryl for something that Paulette couldn't do. So I decided, you know what? I think we did a great interview. And you're going to hear information that you're not going to read or hear anywhere else about the disappearances of these two young people. So because of that, I said, this is going to be the episode. And we only usually have one guest anyway. So I decided I'm not going to hold it against Cheryl for something that Paula can't do. So that's what you're going to hear this Friday. I was hoping that I would have an interview with Cheryl. I would have an interview with Paulette. That would be something new for the program. Didn't happen. No good plan goes unpunished. So, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. But I think that it's still a great interview. I think it's going to be a great episode. And for sure, I think all of you are going to come away from the episode thinking that the theory that has been pushed for the last 14 years regarding these two young people's disappearances, there's a lot of reasons to think that it's not true at all. The reason it's called In the Box is because what happened the day after they disappeared, a family acquaintance, I would not call him a friend, came down to the house, went into Christopher's room in his mother's house and took out a box and took it away. And that box has never been seen again. He hasn't spoken to the family ever since. He didn't let anybody know what was in the box. And it almost sounds like that movie Seven. What's in the box? What's in the box? And when Cheryl, after this happened, when she went into her, she let this guy who she knew come in there and she didn't know what he was going to do. And then he just goes in and walks right out with it. So when she went into the bedroom and saw that he had gotten something out from underneath the bedroom, underneath Chris's bed, she went under there and she found a box belonging to Ed Bogus, who all these years has been thought of as being the perpetrator of these two disappearances. Well, like I said, I think you're going to hear information from Cheryl on Friday that could point you in a very different direction. And it does have to do with this other box that was taken that night after Chris and Kristina had disappeared. Talking about Mason Smith, I am vaguely familiar with that disappearance. It rings a bell. The name rings a bell, but that's about it. Elizabeth, have you talked about the Long Island serial killer yet? Elizabeth, I think I have at one time, but not recently. I know there seem to be some things going on there, that a 911 call is going to be released. The call that the one girl made, her body was eventually found out there. It has to be released. Maybe it has been released already. I don't know. I really don't know I'm not a serial killer type of guy, Elizabeth, even though one of my favorite movies is Zodiac. But professionally, I do disappearances. And although some disappearances could be caused by serial killers, I am surely not an expert on the Long Island serial killer and all the remains that were found out there several years back. I've read rumors that it could have been a police officer doing it, and maybe some weird things going on out on the island at Long Island, sex parties and stuff like that. I really don't have any idea. But I have spoken about it in the past when news has popped up. So that's all I have for you tonight. I've answered all the questions. Once again, if you are watching right now, please like this video, subscribe to the Unfound Podcast Channel. Please like this video before you leave if you have not liked it yet. Just want to go through all the places that Unfound can be found. Facebook, both the page and the group. We have a Twitter account that I had to revamp, had to start all over from scratch. So we don't have a lot of followers right now, but we're working at it. Twitter.com/Unfound Podcast. We're on Instagram, and that's very convenient for you because I do put some maps on there occasionally regarding the disappearances and pictures of the case that will be the disappearance that we'll be covering for that Friday. And once in a while, I'll even post a picture of myself like I did last week. If you're on there, Of course, we're on YouTube where you are watching right now. It's something that we continue to work hard at, and Tasha's doing a great job with it. And we're going to have this new program, Unfound Now, which I've already talked about. Of course, the prior episodes of Unfound on the Ground are going to be posted there. We're really working very hard on it. I know that a lot of demonetization is happening on YouTube right now. Our videos are monetized. The channel as a whole is monetized, but a lot of our videos get flagged. But I'm not too crazy about that, but I'm not, it doesn't make me happy, but it doesn't make me sad. It's all about raising the profile of the program as a whole. And it's not about automatically trying to generate income. And that's why we're there. We're there on YouTube. We're here on YouTube to raise the profile of the cases that we cover, the people that we interview, and the program as a whole. That's always the number one goal. So we don't maybe worry about monetization as other people who have a lot of videos on there anyway. But I think we're going to be getting a lot more subscribers as we add more things on there. Where else? Spotify, you can get the program, Podomatic, iTunes, Deezer, and the Unfound Podcast email is unfoundpodcast@gmail.com. Elizabeth says, Suffolk County Police released Thursday the name of a woman whose remains were found 20 years ago in Manorville, 9 years ago, 50 miles away near Gilgo Beach. The woman was identified as Valerie Mack. Yeah, yeah. A lot of these women I understand to be prostitutes out there that were found. Yeah. Once again, I don't know that much about it. I know probably as much as the average person does, but it's really not what I do. I really concentrate just on what we're working on Unfound. So what did we do tonight? I told you my bike story about riding into the wind. Got a 1-round disc golf tournament on Saturday, tee time 12:30. The Rodney Kaiser poll. Talked about Christopher Hyde's remains being identified. We talked about Chad Dable and the murders of Tylee and JJ. Dennis Bowman, he's been convicted and charged. He's been given his sentence for the murder in Virginia. Alyssa Turney, maybe her father is going to be charged. Remember this Monday, 1:30 Eastern time on Facebook Live, the Fischler College of Education and School of Criminal Justice. Man, that's a long title. 1:30 Eastern time, I'll be doing another interview with Dr. Telesco. Unfound on the Ground. The next one is Monday night at 8:15. Disappeared can be found on Hulu. Unfound Now, the new show. It'll come out when we're ready. I've already explained that. Austin Pivo, those trials have been moved. And this Friday, the disappearance of Kristina Branum and Christopher Mittendorf. Another couple that will be covering for a disappearance this Friday from Tennessee. And it took some great questions tonight. All right, everyone, thank you. Almost 2 hours. Man, I used my voice a lot today. Recorded my part of Friday's episode and then talked all this time. But I love it. There's no other thing that I would rather be doing with my life. I love doing this, and I thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Dark. It's nice of you to say. Be careful out there. Be safe. You'll hear me Friday. Good night.